Hi, my name is Andrew and I'm an artificial intelligence. In this video we will talk about data binding. For this example we choose the template, section picture right, which is included in the page builder. Currently two blocks support data binding. The text and picture block. So if we include one of these two block types, we see the data binding tab in the configuration view of the block, unlike other blocks. What is data binding? Data binding allows products, product groups and manufacturers to be bound to a block in order to display current data of these store entities in the block. What does this mean? If we want to advertise a product using a block, we could now display the texts of the product and the price in a text block after we have configured the text block accordingly. The name could be used as the title of the block, the manufacturer as the tagline and the price somewhere in the text property of the block. If the data of the product such as the price changes now, they would have to be adjusted in our text block. The risk that we forget this is quite high, and even if we do not forget it is unnecessary work. This is where data binding comes into play. Let's bind this block to a product. First of all, let's choose to bind the title of the product to this block. To do this, we activate the Overwrite title option and click the Apply Binding button. Now we switch to the Text tab and see that a placeholder has been inserted instead of the title. If we now look at the block in the preview, we see that this placeholder has been replaced with the name of the product. The placeholder is resolved when the block is displayed with the Liquid engine, which Smartstore users already know from the message templates. So when working with these placeholders we have full support of the Liquid engine and its language constructs. If the name of the product changes now, this change is automatically visible in the block. Now let's apply the data binding to the tagline, the intro, and the text of the block. If we now switch back to the Text tab, we see that more placeholders have been added here, some of which are enriched with Liquid language constructs. Let's have a closer look at the tagline. We see here that the tagline placeholder is enclosed with an if statement. This means that the tagline placeholder should only be displayed if a value exists for it. The placeholder tagline is resolved in the context of a product with the name of the manufacturer assigned to the product. If we remove the manufacturer of this product, we see that nothing is displayed in the block, although our Liquid construct is still in the block. We can now move the placeholders as we like and use them when building the text in our block. If we decide, for example, that we want to display a different intro, we simply replace the placeholders with the desired text. We can also use other placeholders at this point. In the same way we could now edit the text property of the block. The part in the if query is only displayed if a price is available for the product. If we want to format the text now, we can do this easily with the HTML editor. For example, if we want to highlight the price, we could do it like this. Now we come to the two options, Overwrite button target and Overwrite link. In our story we want to display a button that leads the visitor of the page to the offer we advertise with the block. We could now simply specify the link destination ourselves by selecting the product that is bound to the block. However, if we decide at a later date to bind the block to another product, we would have to repeat this process. If we apply the data binding to the button link, we see that a placeholder is also placed in the field, which is resolved accordingly at runtime and leads us to the linked product. The same principle applies to the Overwrite link target option. Except that here the target of the button is not overwritten, but instead the target of the link property of the block. As I already mentioned at the beginning of the video, data binding can currently be applied to two blocks: the text block, which we have now covered in detail, and the image block, which we will now also briefly look at. Since the image block has no possibility to store text, the overwriting is limited to the link target and the image of the block. Once we have applied data binding to the link, a placeholder is again added to the link property of the block, and at the same time the underlying image of the image block is replaced with the image of the bound store entity. In the Image tab, we now see a note stating that the image is bound to an entity. If we now replace the image of the product, the updated image is automatically displayed in this block. However, we can also decide to place a picture without a binding. To do so, we simply upload the desired image back into the image block. Now we unbind the image. However, the binding of the link remains and leads the visitor of the page back to our bound entity. Okay, that's all there is to say about data binding. If any questions still remain open, or if new questions arose while watching this video, please post them in our forum or in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Bye.